find so much inspiration from exceptional people. We can grow to understand people so much better when we dive into their lives and see what makes them tick, and even understand ourselves better along the way. One person whose life I'd love to understand better is the composer Richard Strauss. I've been preparing the role of Sophie in his opera Der Rosenkavalier for close to 2 years now, and I'm finally making my debut in the role on October 31st at the Volksoper. This opera is an astonishing work of art, and while working on it, I found myself wondering how Richard Strauss was able to create such gorgeous music, to orchestrate it all so precisely, and create such a wild success of an opera. Within 2 months after its premiere, Der Rosenkavalier was translated into Italian and performed at La Scala. And soon after, it spread to other major opera houses all around the world. It leaves me wondering, how did Strauss achieve this global success? My name is Lauren, and I am a chronic procrastinator. I'm the kind of person who will start 100 projects, one after the other, and never end up finishing any of them. I'm tired of the cycle I've created for myself. Wait for inspiration to strike, let it take over my life for a while, then pick up the pieces and always feel like I have to play catch up. I find it very difficult to stick with a daily routine, or to even find a routine that works with the way my chaotic mind works. That's why I've decided to start a series of small experiments. I'm going to walk a while in the shoes of other successful musicians to see how their daily routines enabled them to be so productive. I'm going to pick them apart and find out how they fit in with my lifestyle and whether I want to take parts of them for my own routine. Here's a quick look at Strauss's routine from a time where he was staying in Egypt to recover from illness in 1892. At 8 a.m. he would wake up, take a bath, and have a breakfast of 3 eggs, tea, and Eingemachtes, which is a homemade marmalade. At 9:30 he took a stroll for half an hour by the Nile before sitting down to work from 10 to 1. At 1 he had lunch, then either read Schopenhauer or gambled with some card games, which I'm interpreting into my life as social or leisure time. From 3 to 4 he did some more work. At 4, had tea and went on a walk to enjoy the sunset. At 6, he worked again or wrote some letters before dinner at 7, after which he chatted and smoked. He smoked 8 to 12 cigarettes a day, which I will not be incorporating into my routine. At 9:30, he went to his room to read, and the lights were out by 10. Now, since I have scheduled work times for rehearsals, I'll have to adjust this routine slightly. The work I do isn't just at home, composing, writing, etc. I have to show up in a certain place at a certain time. There are also things like commuting and warming up time to keep in mind, but I'll try to stick to it as best as I can. Time to start the day. On day 1, I actually woke up at 7:30 to be awake enough for my Orchester Sitzprobe at 10. I woke up, took a shower, we don't have a bath, and made my breakfast of eggs, tea, and bread with marmalade. I assume there was bread involved, it wasn't included, but in another one of Strauss's memoirs, it was mentioned that he drank coffee each day. So I also drank coffee. I was so relieved to read this because I find it really difficult to go without a daily coffee. So I'm on my walk a little bit later than expected this morning because Strauss didn't write in any time for making the breakfast. He just scheduled time for eating it, so that set me back a little bit. After my walk, I warmed up while putting on makeup and then headed out the door for my morning rehearsal. So it's my first Sitzprobe for Der Rosenkavalier, and I'm super excited. I have to walk on this noisy street to work, which means I can warm up a little bit on the street. I've already warmed up, but I just want to make sure it's all there. I'm a little nervous. I've never sung this piece with the orchestra, so we'll see how it goes. Wish me luck. I just sang this final trio for the first time with orchestra, and I'm just beaming. Oh God, it's the most beautiful music I've ever heard, and I did it. There was still a part of me that didn't really know whether I could because I've never done it before, but I sang it, I got through it, and my voice still feels fresh. I'm so excited. I got out of rehearsal early and still had an hour left until lunch, so I sat down with my score and took notes on the recording of the orchestra rehearsal. This type of score study is so useful for me because I can find the places I need to work through technically when I'm practicing to make sure I'm heard over the orchestra. It's most useful for me to do this work as soon as possible after the rehearsal because then it's still fresh in my mind. So it's 1 o'clock, time for lunch. I'm gonna make some pumpkin risotto. I really like this schedule so far. It's helped me to create boundaries between when I'm working and when I'm not working. So it's not just, oh, study, study, study until the end of time. I have an hour that I need to work, and I work, and then I go eat lunch. This time wasn't scheduled in, but I cooked anyway because I enjoy it, and I can eat the leftovers for the next couple of days. Peter's a professional cook, and he helped me some too, which was only minimally stressful.
No, everything together and quick. Stop crying!
Voila! I thought since I'm doing so much musical work today, I'd take a break from that and do some YouTube work. So I replied to some comments and worked on some nicer captions for my studio video. 4 o'clock, done working, and it's time for tea. And that was a really nice little chunk of work. I thought to keep it down to an hour worked really well. So I decided to combine my tea with my walk. I'm going to meet Peter and Gnocchi, who are already at the dog park, and I'm bringing my tea to go. Productivity doesn't come naturally to me, and I'm not used to being so intentional about the way I spend my time, whether it's quality time with loved ones or work time. I'm an ideas guy. When inspiration strikes, I go all in, spending hours fixated on a particular project, even if it distracts me from other things I need to get done. Then as soon as the next big thing rolls around, I leave that first project behind because it no longer interests me. Then when I see all those half-finished crafts, music I need to learn, emails I need to respond to, social media updates piling up around me, I feel a level of guilt and overwhelm on top of it. Strauss considered composing as a need for him, similar to the way a cow needs to give milk. He didn't stress himself out about working. He simply created a structure and the work came naturally. I'm looking forward to seeing how I can tap into this method. Strauss normally eats dinner at 7, but I had a rehearsal from 7 to 10, so I ate dinner early in the Kantine. I literally almost walked out of the house wearing my rehearsal skirt and the original shoes for my costume. I'm a little bit tired, but overall, I think this routine set me up for a really nice day. I feel great. You know, I'm gonna go crash now, but it's a good day. I read very briefly before going to bed, feeling fulfilled and ready for the next productive day.
Good morning. It was pretty easy to get up this morning, surprisingly. Normally I sort of lay in bed for a little bit. I snooze my alarm. Actually, I'm the kind of person who normally sets multiple alarms. I'll set like the ideal goal when I want to start waking up, and then after that I'll set like 6 alarms because I don't trust myself to get up on time. But actually I woke up before my alarm. I'm ready to start my day. I'm feeling really well rested. Need to go outside? Oh my goodness. Good morning, yeah.
By day 2, I found myself with a new sense of invigoration and motivation to get out of bed. I think most of this was just because I was trying something new, but I never complain about having extra energy. That being said, this schedule doesn't have so much time built in to do things like brushing teeth, makeup, taking care of my dog, etc. So I didn't have as much time to relax as I normally do. Yeah, I'm just gonna have to get ready a little more quickly than I'm used to, which is fine. I'm adapting. This morning we were back to staging rehearsals, so I headed into the theater, ready to take advantage of my newfound sense of purpose in my acting. In the mid-morning pause, I headed up to the Garderoben to take some focused time for myself.
So I have to go back to the rehearsal in about 20 minutes. Until then, I'm going to listen to some more of the Sitzprobe and take some more notes.
Zur Fortsetzung der Probe bitte ich so richten.
I noticed in this morning rehearsal, I found it easier to stay focused for longer, knowing that I had time scheduled for rest in the afternoon.
This is the best part about having a dog.
Hi, I missed you so much.
I'm back now from my rehearsal and I'm gonna relax a little bit and then eat some lunch. After lunch, I got cozy and settled in for a little bit of afternoon editing. Even when Strauss wasn't living in Egypt, he had a very structured routine. He had breakfast served to him in bed, went on walks with his wife, treasured lunchtime as a sacred moment, and kept a routine of small alternating stints of work and relaxation. I'm starting to see the value in creating that kind of balance for myself. Rehearsal got canceled this evening, so I decided to go do a pub quiz trivia night with some friends. Then I settled in after another full day. After the killer momentum of the first 2 days, I started to hit a slump. It's so gross and rainy today, and gray. I had trouble getting up in the morning. According to his family, Richard Strauss did not have free time. He enjoyed traveling for concerts, but also felt the need to take advantage of all that time. When he was in Paris for a concert, he would already be at the Louvre at 9 a.m., in Vienna at the Art History Museum, in London at the Tate Gallery, etc. He simply could not be unproductive. And at this point, I was starting to wonder whether I align with that worldview at all. On the one hand, I want to use my work time as wisely as possible so that I have time to do the things that I love to do. On the other hand, I enjoy a certain level of unproductivity and free time for my brain to unwind, so that made this schedule difficult for me to maintain. Even Strauss's leisure time was timed and exact, whereas I like to leave room for surprises in my day. Nevertheless, I kept going, and I went to my 10 a.m. rehearsal. Really did not want to do anything today, but here I am. I'm on my way to my morning rehearsal. We're on the stage again, which is nice. Yeah, we're gonna power through it. In the afternoon, I made sure to give myself a little extra time to relax. Just a little rainy day grace before sitting down for some afternoon editing. I accidentally worked for way too long, so I was supposed to work from 3 to 4 and it's now 6:30. I started editing my first TikTok. I've never made a TikTok before, so I got caught in the rabbit hole of all the editing and the music syncing. I also had to learn how to do it. I'd never edited a TikTok before, so I had to look at tutorials and everything. Anyway, I got super into the flow of it and actually really enjoyed it. So I finished it and I posted it already, which is hilarious. So I'm having a little bit of trouble sticking to this schedule of, hey, work for an hour, because once I really get into it and I feel like I'm making progress, I don't want to stop. Anyway, forgot to mention my evening rehearsal got canceled again, so I'm actually going to Rigoletto tonight. A colleague of mine is performing and it's her role debut as Maddalena, so I'm going to go and support her. I scarfed down some leftovers and took Gnocchi out for a short walk before heading out to the opera house. Although my day was a weird mix of low energy and hyperfixation, I'm glad I spent my evening doing a relatively passive activity, watching an opera, because that allowed me to wind down enough to get a good night's sleep before waking up early for another 10 a.m. orchestra rehearsal. Waking up earlier helped me to find time to settle on day 4. I decided to take a little more time for myself on this day and not focus too much on the getting things done side of things. Feeling good this morning. I woke up at 7 and I'm starting to get the body moving yet. I'm starting to get the body moving now, and I think it's gonna be good. My voice isn't awake yet, but I'm gonna do some lip trills as I'm on my walk. I really enjoy a nice slow warm-up. It helps me center myself and check in with my body, which is especially important when I have a rehearsal with an orchestra.
Bitte die Solisten auf die Bühne. Solisten zum Probenbeginn bitte auf die Bühne. Orchester bitte Platz nehmen. Orchester bitte.
With my rehearsal over and Peter free for the day, we were able to spend some time together throughout the day while I wasn't working. We had a relaxed lunch together, took Gnocchi to the park, and he even helped me out with my silent study in the evening. As I listened to the orchestra recording I had made that day, I asked Peter for some feedback on my German diction. It's always helpful to have some detailed criticism from a native speaker.
I think you do already a very good job.
Then we headed out for date night, vegan burgers and a local queer comedy event. I wasn't called to rehearsal until 11:50, so the day didn't start as energetically as the previous 4 did. And frankly, I was okay with that. Normally I treasure my relaxed morning time with my coffee. I take my time waking up. So as the week went on, I found it harder and harder to jump straight into working. I didn't get up and work as early as I should have, but I just needed a little more rest. I'm the type of person who likes to keep a pretty flexible schedule to adjust for what my body needs on a particular day. So on day 5, I gave some more time to myself in the morning. Since I have a little more time, I'm going to take the opportunity to walk with Gnocchi to Kuchka Markt, which is the local farmer's market, and I'm going to buy some Sturm. And I'm so glad I took that time to relax, to go to the market, to warm up properly, because I just felt like I was constantly wound up when I followed Strauss's schedule to the T. This was the point where I decided to call off the experiment. Although it had taught me a lot, it was no longer serving me. I spent the weekend making a new project, Peter's birthday present, a wallet. And this time, I finished it. On my own schedule. Throughout the week, I used some of the more free time to do things like laundry, dishes, grocery shopping, cleaning up. I think it's worth noting that none of these things were included in this routine. Whether that work was done by staff where he was staying in Egypt, his servant at home, or his wife, there's a certain level of privilege that shouldn't be ignored here. It's clear that, like so many other male artists of his time, he wouldn't have been able to accomplish so much if it hadn't been for the support of women around him. Many of the schedules I've been reading about for this series only include things like work and eat, which of course is not the reality for modern life. Strauss's grandson described him as a totally normal grandfather. He would allow his grandchildren to interrupt his work to do things like go sledding or play soccer. I'm in awe of how Strauss achieved so much in his life while still creating a sense of balance and spending time with his family. That's a balance I'd love to find in my own life. I don't think this kind of structure allows me to achieve that in my life, but I have learned a lot, and there are some things I intend on incorporating into my life in a less structured way. For example, Strauss's emphasis on walking. Small walks throughout the day break up bigger chunks of work and make it seem more manageable. And of course, it's great for both me and gnocchi. I did notice that when I had a set amount of time for creative work, I was able to get into deep work more quickly and stay focused longer. I can't wait to make my debut as Sophie, and I hope to be able to let Strauss's music shine through my performance. That's the beautiful thing about music. As long as his works are performed, a part of him lives on. I think I understand a little bit more now about how Strauss was able to be as prolific as he was. His routine was a part of him, a simple given variable that allowed him to live his truth and let his creativity shine. I hope that someday I'll be able to find a similar system or routine that works for me in a similar way. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, leave me a like or comment below telling me about your ideal routine. I'm planning on making more content like this, so consider sticking around, subscribing to my channel, and turning on notifications. Otherwise, please send me some good vibes for my Rosenkavalier premiere. See you soon.